welcome back. And of course, on Sunday, we had very, very brilliant games kicking off the weekend with Manchester City playing very, very, very resolute Huddersfield side. That game ending 0-0.
Yes, Tony, it was a resolute Huddersfield side. I think they deserved everything that they got in this game.
Or even more.
In the last 5 minutes, I think they had two brilliant chances. The Portland and I think one of the defenders was shooting at goal. But Man City, Tony, I do not understand if they came for a win. Of course, we expected on a Coronation Day some goals for the fans to cheer up for. But they did not get that, and I still thought they did not push harder. Even if they played the best players in the pitch, they didn't give it a full go. And the way they've been doing it, Tony.
Of course, Manchester City came into this side only chasing records. They had already wrapped up that Premier League trophy that was presented to them. Very jubilant scenes there at the Etihad Stadium. All the fans joining into the pitch at the final whistle. Was a very brilliant spectacle seeing Pep Guardiola winning his first his first major trophy in England, of course. And seeing, of course, a very interesting interview at the end where he was urging Henry to join the management soon.
Yes, Tony, Thierry Henry is already an assistant manager, so I think he's just taking the baby steps. He's soon eyeing to come to the big occasion. I hope it will be in Arsenal.
Very interesting there, of course. Big scenes at the Etihad. Manchester City are now the champions of England fully. That trophy has been handed to them. We'll probably see some open bus parades very, very soon. But another big game on Arsenal was Arsenal taking on Burnley on a day that they were paying respect to.
Yes, Tony, when you look at the side, there were jubilations in Manchester for the coronation of Manchester City. But in London, the capital, we're seeing Arsene Wenger after 22 years bidding farewell. An emotional evening, afternoon for him there.
A sea of red shirts in the stadium.
Yes, Tony, and I was so pleased to see Arsenal fans stand up here. Wenger, the last 10 years, it has not been all rosy managing Arsenal with the fans reacting, but at least they turned up where it mattered most to say goodbye to Wenger, and I think it was a good gesture for Wenger. He said he's a fan, and the fans would expect to see him come back to also support the team, hopefully in future.
But 5-0 for Arsenal. Let's talk about that kind of performance. Yeah. We know that Burnley has been a bogey side for them. We probably expected Arsenal to win this game after that hat-trick in Europe in the midweek. But you don't score 5 goals in a game that's almost not mattering. Where have these guys been all season?
There are a lot of factors there, given that Burnley is a very defensive side.
Very
we know that
compact.
They concede 2, maximum 3, and that would be a huge score for Burnley. But the interesting part, Tony, it was the big Wenger signings, Lacazette and Aubameyang, who came up with the goods. And I thought it was an afternoon whereby these players were saying, boss, this is our present to you. So Tony, it's not surprising that that's the performance they gave. I would have expected that performance to have been in Europe, and Wenger would have been more happier.
Very, very interesting. Of course, we saw the lap of honor for Mr. Arsene Wenger. There, goals from Lacazette, Aubameyang, Iwobi, and Kolasinac. Another very good goal. And we saw a lot of Arsenal legends on show on that game. Of course, it was a very brilliant way to wrap up Wenger's tenure at Arsenal. At home, so much respect paid to him by all the fans, by all the media, by all the club legends that were there on show, and the players also turned up with a big 5-0 win there. But we kicked off the weekend with a big interesting fixture on Friday night. Brighton and Hove Albion beating Manchester United 1-0.
Tony, that was actually a big result for Brighton and a demoralizing result for Man United. You look at Man United and you ask yourself, is there a divide between the starting 11 and the players who can patch in to substitute these guys? We saw Rashford and Martial. They played from the starting minutes, but they did not have any attempts, Tony, on target. I was looking at this game, and it's like Brighton, yes, they were at home, but they looked the superior side with more attempts on target. And it's worrying for Man United. They need the substitutes to be at par with the starting 11, Tony, this team.
Of course, Manchester United is one of those teams that have something still to play for. They have a final coming up on 19th of May with Chelsea. They cannot afford any kind of performance like this going to that game, at least, especially in their last 2 games. We know that Liverpool is breathing just behind the necks, but of course Liverpool was unable to win this weekend, so that gives them a bit of room to breathe. But with such a performance against a resolute Brighton side, very, very interesting on the day. We had thought that Pascal Gross is a player that might give Manchester United problems. He had 6 goals and 8 assists going into this goal, and he got his 7th.
Yes, Tony. Pascal Gross is one of those players who are like unsung heroes. We've seen he has come up with goals and assists for this Brighton side. He's been very instrumental for this team, and he's a player I suspect come the transfer window, many teams will be knocking at the door of Chris Hughton asking for the price tag of that player. But still, you would have expected Man United, even with a second 11, or at least
without the big boys,
a less chosen side should be able to perform. But it's just because they wrapped up second spot or the top 4. It's a poor performance. I was just saying, Tony, the statistics show Man United has lost to all the new boys, that is to Brighton,
which is an unwanted record, certainly.
No team wants that record. We've mentioned before that Liverpool beats the big boys and loses to the small teams. That's why they cannot win the championship. And if Man United is learning such behaviors, then they won't be winning a trophy.
Is it a sign of Mourinho trying to rest some of these players and keeping them fresh for the FA Cup?
Of course, Tony. The only thing Mourinho is eyeing right now is to get the FA Cup trophy. I think it will be a fair season, taking the FA and finishing second. We all know that, but still, you cannot afford to lose to the less sides now.
And of course, we know that he's meeting only little sides in compared to them. At least they're meeting less weaker sides while we finish up the season. That game taking, of course, Brighton almost to the brink. Now they've certainly closed out their stay in the Premier League. They'll certainly be staying. But another club that is still struggling and fighting for that finishing line is West Brom, a side that has not had their chances by winning very interesting games in the past couple of weekends. They beat Tottenham with the last gasp winner. They are coming from
Tony, I do not know where to start mentioning West Brom from. It's just because of time, and it's a little too late for them. We've seen before Crystal Palace not winning the first 7 games. Then Swansea also had time down there, and West Brom, Tony,
spent the longest.
I don't know how Stoke went down before them. I really cannot understand that. But it's a little too late for West Brom. They can only get 3 points. That takes them to 34 points. I think that's not enough for them to stay in the table. But it's big positives for Darren Moore, and he should be going down with this team, thinking that next season we should come back, Tony, for this club.
Of course, it was very interesting. Tottenham on their side, they didn't turn up for this one. Everyone is looking lethargic around. Looks like they have deflated after that Champions League exit. They've not had a lot of good performances. Harry Kane, a player that we expected should have been pushing. Mohamed Salah, who's also having a slight dip in form, should have been pushing for that golden boot. He's finding these games very hard.
Tony, I do not know what's happened in the entire Tottenham team. There seems to be no spark in this team. Harry Kane is totally off. Dele Alli is not saying. Eriksen is dipping also. This Spurs team, Tony, needs to pick up with the remaining 2 games, because if they go with such performances, then they'll be the likely team, Tony, to be knocked out of the top,
be passed by Chelsea.
Yeah, the top 4 position. So it's a worry for Pochettino here.
Of course, they can't afford that. We know that anything that you do right between now and the end of the season tells on where you finish in that race for Champions League football, which they need in their new stadium. But West Brom causing a lot of chaos for teams such as Southampton and Swansea that meet tomorrow night in a very, very mouth-watering clash.
Tony, it's surprising how West Brom, Tony, is not yet relegated in the Premier League.
And Stoke is already relegated.
And Stoke is relegated, surprisingly. But the game that's coming up tomorrow between Swansea and Southampton, Tony, is the big clash of the season. We did not expect this to come our way, but now, because of the results that have happened for both teams, this is now the real deal for them. It's do or die in this fixture.
Of course, we know that both these clubs have changed managers already this season. Mark Hughes coming in for Southampton. We saw the kind of reaction he had when Everton had that last gasp equalizer at St. Mary's.
So painful, Tony. As a manager, you don't wish to see such moment, not even a fan. And that moment could have demoralized the entire Southampton fraternity.
Of course, it will be very interesting to see how they react following that very, very wonderful performance that they put in against a big Everton team. We know that Everton has struggles of their own. but Swansea comes into this side after on the back of another loss to Bournemouth over the weekend. So it will be interesting to see which of these two teams probably would want to stay in the Premier League more. It's now coming to how much you want to stay,
yes.
And not
the beauty with this fixture, Tony, is it's winner takes it all. It's not like depending on another team's result. You gotta get the result and then you either stay or you're knocked out.
Of course, it will be interesting to see who of these two teams stay. For most people, we've been seeing a lot of teams. Southampton suddenly come from England.
Yeah.
The Swansea, we know they are from South Wales. So it will be interesting to see how they divide opinion there come the final day of the season. But we had another very interesting game. Madrid going to the Camp Nou for that big El Clasico game, and that game ending 2-2.
Yes, Tony, the game ended 2-2. We all expected a good game, and we knew that there were high stakes in this game. Madrid wanting to break, to halt the run of Barcelona going unbeaten, and Barcelona wanting to go unbeaten, of course. But at the end of the day, it was 2-2. There was a red card for Barcelona.
They played more than an hour.
Playing the entire second half, Tony, with a red card. But getting a goal in second half, going 2-1 up over Madrid. I still wonder what team Madrid has after the starting 11. They had a very poor bench, Tony. I don't know. The names were not visible to me. I cannot tell the names there. And it's worrying, Tony. But this entire El Clasico, to me, I think it was a show of the rivalry with a lot of mistakes there. I thought Bale should have been sent off. Alba should have seen a yellow card or even red. And then there was a Marcelo penalty shout that I thought 100% was a penalty. So 2-2, I thought was a fair result at the end of the day.
Of course, it was a big game for everyone involved and for all of the viewers across the globe. Messi and Ronaldo, who are some of the global icons in football, had a goal in this one. And Real Madrid will be keeping an eye on Ronaldo's ankle after Piqué went over him as he tried to make that goal in the first half. But of course, it was interesting. We now know Barcelona wrapped up the La Liga title. They'll be having a few days off, but Madrid cannot take the foot off the gas because they must prepare for that final in Kiev, which comes at the end of May. So Madrid will be monitoring the rest of the players' progress, as well as Cristiano Ronaldo, who must be in that game as he looks to upset Mohamed Salah for the Ballon d'Or.
Tony, we all know the final is about Ronaldo versus Mohamed Salah, and everyone in the world wants to see the best players in the final playing, and I think Ronaldo will have to find a way, whether it's on injection, to appear in the final.
Of course, it was very interesting, a big weekend here on the Tonny and Tim show. I'd like to thank you for all your feedback, all that you gave us, all your predictions, and all the support that you've been giving us across the season. We know that it's coming to an end. We are very excited here on the show. Keep watching, keep tuned. We'll be bringing you all the news as it comes into this last week of the Premier League. We are very excited to hear from you, and goodbye for now. Good night and enjoy your week.
Good night.